Ah! So here we are. Robert Aiken had a story where he was sorting away. He was one of the spreading forces in the road. And so in Nakagawa, where she was teaching in Honolulu, and he just gave a great yell, and Aiken found himself joining in, so his voice was saying "ah" too, and was completely involuntary. And so Son, or she turned him, and Son, she looked at him and said, I don't know, I suppose he thought he was on the edge of something. So he turned him around, so he was facing the wall, and he got the big stick and started hitting him, yelling, "Ah! Ah!" It went on for about 40 minutes. If you're skillful, you're probably not losing the shoulders, but nonetheless, it shocks your chi. And then Lord Aiken was she just said, I was just exhausted, I just went to sleep after that. And he couldn't work out whether that was a good thing or bad. There's something about the thing that touches us, where the world touches us. When we see something, we see beyond, I suppose, beyond our small point of view. Another one, a story from the Blue Cliff. A student asked Jingqing, I'm pecking to get out. I'd like you to break in. And Jingqing said, like the chicken pecking. In other words, Jing said, well, if I did, would you be alive or not? And the student said, well, if I weren't alive, everyone would laugh at me. And Jingqing said, you really are someone in the weeds. And so, but he had the courage to ask the question and say, touch me, help me, tip the statue over. And that's what we're doing, we're waiting for asking the world in our hearts. And there are many famous stories like this. I like Shang Yen's story because he was given the original face koan. I think he was given the original face koan. And good enough. And he was completely puzzled by it. And he just didn't get drawn at all. And he was an intelligent person. He went through the whole idea. On every possible mention of the poem. He could just tell that the answers he was getting weren't it, So he said, he went to his teacher and said, you must tell me the answer because it's driving me mad. And I just don't get it. And his teacher said, I could tell you, but you would blame me later. And so you can see that's the thing where the teacher didn't think he was ready for it. He pecked. Yeah, the egg wasn't ready to be pecked. And you know, birds communicate with the chick and the egg. The Tasmanian woman who was on the Sunday program was talking about how it's nesting season because it's spring there, and everybody, all the little kangaroos and people, wallabies have a little one or two at foot, and the, the various the cuckoos have arrived too. And what the cuckoos do is they go to a nest when the owner's just out putting food, and they roll an egg out and put their own egg in. You know, they're kind of bandits of the bird world. And then the little bird, and usually a much smaller bird, and the little bird works really hard to feed this enormous chick that somehow is killed. The little birds have kind of got onto this, and so they would teach songs to their young. Our friend called them passwords. They would teach songs to their young, and if the young sang them back, that was all right. If an egg didn't sing back, it went over the side. And so there was sort of arms race going on among cuckoos and wrens and people. And so the mother hen can sort of tell, I suppose, if you're a teacher, there's some sort of question about how to peck, when to peck, how much to peck. And so this became it's obviously a famous poem because we're all interested. Could you help me? What will touch my heart and open? Is it the sound of the owl at night? And I've known people who they just went to bed and suddenly the owl woke them up, and they're awake in more than one sense. And suddenly they're free. They didn't feel free before that. They felt like in the worst possible shape. So the theory about pecking also tells you that you should be suspicious of your conviction about how bad you're doing. Because who are you to know? You think I'm really messed up? Well, a messed up person didn't know how bad she was doing. Stuff like that. What he was doing. And so, so I was thinking of all the different touches and pecks and that people have told me over the years. And it's sort of interesting, like what touches you, what opens you up, what's a nice peck, and a train whistle. Train whistle's somewhat popular. And you can tell that lonesome sound, yeah, it's a wonderful sound. It does something, and so it's got that quality. And so a couple of people, one person in this dojo, awakened by a train whistle. A woman who had a very big experience who was in the dojo I first trained in, I later worked with. She became an executive coach, but she had a huge experience when she gave birth to her baby, her first child. And she said it was very painful, but it did wake me up. So you just this is so a path not available to them. So sort of it's interesting. And other times, a person's in the middle of a disaster and they realize everything's perfect, which is kind of remarkable. And you realize that's got to be true, doesn't it? Because if any moment is perfect, the world is perfect. And if your life if you accept your life and trust your life, you can't take any bit of it out. The terrible thing that happened to you, things like that. You start to look at people's hands, and you can see the hands have gone in. So, I don't know, as you know, I kind of like that wall here, you know. It's a sign you're getting somewhere when you're completely blocked. Silver cliffs and iron mountains. As you come to the place of the silver cliffs, iron mountains, you never find your way back. You can't go forward, you can't get up. So something inconceivable has to happen. For you, it has to happen for you. And it's nice that it does, you know. No, it does have to happen, it does happen. And those of you who know me know that, like, for me, one of my, Kensho was where I was in this cold dojo with concrete. There was a basement, martial arts basement, which dojo was on loan to a Korean master. And it had concrete blocks. And they were the walls, concrete blocks. It was kind of like in the Soviet Union. It was like, this is not a very, nobody's paying any attention to beauty in this room. And I noticed I had a kind of repulsion for the blocks. And that might be a good thing, because that's where you can enter, you know, the place you don't like, the place you're afraid, the place you think, I'll never get through this alive. It's a kind of good thing. And so, and also my knees hurt and the pad was like, the Koreans have these thin pads, you know, about this wide, which is supposed to be sitting in full lotus. I've never been able to do that. And so, you know, comfort was not the story either. And then the blocks, everything became perfect. Cement blocks, the gap opened. And it opens. I don't know how to describe it, and you don't know why. Nothing particularly happened. It's just you're on the other side. And as soon as I went to see the teacher, who I'd never met before, he could immediately see something had happened to me. He said, "What's your name?" "John." "Where are you from?" "Australia." "What's your name?" He didn't care who John was. He wanted something else. He wanted something to do with that. Yeah, that was kind of, you know, that was great. And then some other, but I knew, you know, what happens, you get an experience and you feel, oh, it's great. And your friends say, you've changed. Peck. You know, the pecking has been happening. You're not really all the way out of the shell, you know, or I don't know what I would say. I just knew that I was sort of in the vessel, the womb, the egg, but I was also in the alembic vessel, and the alchemical process was working on me, but I just felt I needed to stay down here. So I turned down the teacher's request that I just kind of follow him and travel with him. And I went back to my boring dojo in Hawaii. And the KOAN, I knew something had changed. I also knew I wasn't through yet. I started to have dreams. So then suddenly, one day you realize, you just notice something. I'm not noticing it. A woman who was training in the same dojo with me, the same Sesshin, and I asked her what happened. She said she noticed that the floor met the room. All that you need to know about life is that the floor meets the door. Isn't that great? You think, that's right, it does. Oh, and I don't know, it's sort of funny. And so so many of us have had that sort of experience. And then something changes you. I don't know what it is or what, I don't know what it is, but you're not you anymore in the same way. I don't know. And you still might do your old performance numbers, unimportant. And you've hurt my feelings again. But it doesn't really matter. And in a way, it's harder to convince yourself than tell you. Pecking from the inside. And so the student says, I'm pecking from inside, would you peck from outside? And the teacher says, yeah, but would you be alive? But you don't want to open the egg too soon. And I think it's up to, in a way, that yourself about what you're down in under. You've got to stay in. You have to stay in the training vessel. And it's such a wonderful thing to know that there is a vessel, that you're in it, that the people with you are in it with you. As Hackman said, these strange and demonic people in the dojo. And they're on your side. Even the demons are on your side. That's true. You realize, there's things I'm afraid of, the way my mind would torture itself. You notice that if your mind's torturing itself, which, I'm sure it wouldn't happen to you, but it might, then you're just something your mind's doing. It doesn't need to do. And so there's that whole thing about whatever it is that is stopping you and preventing you, and whatever is that wall for you. There's nothing really you need to do, but you need to stay there. And gradually, the transformation will happen. And you can't, in a way, you can't help that either, just the way you can't help how crazy you are. Although you can lie about it on a job application. But which is your job, actually, to lie about it. But you can't help how, because everybody is weird. Like, if you know anybody who is not weird, raise your hand. And so we were asking there used to be a famous psychoanalyst in San Jose called Jingqing, who was part of the whole Abe Maslow and Carl Rogers, all those things. And I remember somebody asking, have you ever met anybody who's not crazy? He said, no. And just went on to me. I thought, oh, good. Stop trying to, fuss with the edges. So what happens is you deepen and your mind changes. And whatever it is you're doing to torment yourself, you start to notice. And the stuff you think other people are doing, I don't know, after a while you think, it doesn't really matter. If I'm in pain, it doesn't matter what this other person feels about me or thinks about me. It's nothing to do with me. The only thing to do with me is this, is it trying to peck from the inside or not? The only technical question in the meditative is it's a kind of great thing. And so we do cool things. To meditate together is such a profound thing, and who knows how much deeper things happen when we do it together. It's one of those weird field effect things. Somebody comes into Roxanne me and they start talking. I say, "Will you stop, please? I can't hear you when you're talking." And stuff, we both can feel the aliveness of the room and the truth of the room. The great universe is here in the room. Yes, that's it. Any questions? Just like that, We know without knowing what we know. Well, we didn't think we knew until we had to cover it with a lot of questions or something. And that's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. It's also true that you already know. So the guy who hit the bamboo, was sweeping the bamboo and hit it. And so one top and it's gone all over you. Here's the guy who said he didn't get it. Would you please tell me? And the teacher said, I don't know, the answer that would help us. But I told you the answer to the time. Then he went off to, KOAN's associated with the six ancestors. He went off to sweep the garden, keep the garden clean, six ancestors' place. And one of the mystery stories of Zen, And so then he thought, I'm not going to worry about enlightenment times, or I'm just going to look after God. That's good. I can do that. So he did. And you can tell when something starts. When you do something like that, you start to transform. And what you're doing in here is sweeping the garden with your ancestors. You can feel it starts to transform. And I don't know what the same thing is for you. Somebody came in today and said this great thing. He said, I have these little tics that I've had since childhood. And he said, I'm not taking it very seriously. But no, so then I'm losing them. Things like that. And it's important to lose them, but it's so nice that you can feel that the purification process is happening. I suppose that's what I'd say. It's very touching. And you can feel that sometimes really tiny things like that, but it might be big things like you always were terrified, and now you're scared. Things like that. Yeah, it's all right. You can ask me to say something again. You want me to say something again? Yeah, well, maybe you're not so terrified. You're merely scared. Like that. And yeah, so can you hear me okay? Is this coming through? So, and whatever it is you think, I don't know, whatever it is you think you can't face, that's the thing that you get. Like, I couldn't bear a concrete box. I'll work in the mines, but I won't sit facing concrete box. I'll work on fishing boats in the storm, but I won't face concrete rocks. It's like, I don't know who, anyway. You don't know what courage is, do you? It's a mysterious thing. So, yeah. And so the guy was sweeping the garden, and the pebble strikes the bamboo, and it makes a tube makes a hollow sound, which our djembe broke. And now, could you hold up our drum for us, Michelle? We found a cardboard tube, mailing tube, and closed one end of it, and you can actually drum on it. It's not quite a djembe, but we have two djembes, both of which in the summer heat crack. And so we do something about the drum. So we have suggestions for good drums or work. The drums we have, they're too loose. They're good for other things. yeah, so back to this point, John. The one talk, and I've forgotten all I knew. And he went back to his temple, and there was a kind of mouthy head of practice there, and he told the story, and he said, that's great, you know. And the head of practice said, I don't think so. Which was really good. He said, I don't know, I think that's nice. One talk and you've forgotten all you knew. So, you know, you've taken a little baby step or two. You know. And so he was just being honest. And the guy then said this great thing. He said this poem, but the relevant line is, he said, if you still don't understand me, ask the newest person who just walked into the temple. The newest, the youngest person who never studied anything. And so it's saying it's a natural endowment, in fact, right? You can't not have Buddha nature. You can't not have awakening. Which is why sometimes if you just sit still and shut up, which is what you may have noticed we're doing, then things work. And it's so incredibly moving and touching that this process was given to us by the ancestors. When we listened and stopped complaining about how it doesn't work, then much better for things like that. One top and I've forgotten all. And so for me, I think I just worked in the garden too. You know? And then I fixed a roof in the temple. Temples always falling down because they're buildings. And also they have, if anybody's living at the temple, they probably weren't chosen for the master carpentry skills. You know? So there's that. And so it's sort of interesting when you get up and meditate and then you work some and you meditate some more and then you work some more. Then you meditate in the evening. I remember asking a Japanese teacher who was calling me mother, you know, I don't know, how much meditation do you think I should do? I said, I don't know, it doesn't have to be very much, maybe 4 hours a day. And I said, good, I'm doing more than that, temple. You know. And then I found it was sort of not hard and had time to do other things. I was writing poetry, my poetry changed completely and had all this space in it. It wasn't as clever, but had all this space in it. And then, because my mind did too. And then I wasn't, still, I'd get to these places and think, oh, I'm nearly there. And I could tell I was. And then, shut up, don't say you're nearly there. That's not going to happen. And all that stuff. And for me, the gateway of entry was fear. And I noticed that the thing I could deal with most things, but I couldn't deal with fear. It wasn't my strongest emotion. It wasn't emotion. It was very vast for me. But it was a thing I didn't handle. Didn't know how to handle. Didn't do it. I've had friends who specialized in terror, and that wasn't a problem for them in meditation. So yeah, so I couldn't make myself push through the fear. I mean, I didn't have to at some stage. I could just enter it. I could just again. That's when everything opened up for me. You know. I wasn't afraid of anything. You know, and I was laughing. And you can't tell what you need for pecking, because the universe is pecking all the time. You know, car drives by, or someone rings the doorbell, an email comes through, you just can't bear it. It's all the universe calling you home. She calls to her lover, little Jade, not because she wants something. She calls to her servant, actually, little Jade is the servant. Little and her. Not because she wants something, but so her lover will hear her voice, her lover who's been here through the. It's a very tender idea what the universe is doing for us, calling to us. was calling so that we'll hear the universe's voice. I had a friend who he was just meditating. He was just like meditating. He was just trying not to think about things. So he meditated with you. Usually that means just think about how to not to think about things. But he was not thinking about things. But he was absorbed. He was in a temple situation, meditating morning and evening. He was reading great texts, and somebody had a newspaper. He came home from his and there was freezing cold. He was in Sag Harbor on Long Island, freezing cold in winter. And he goes to get the paper to light the fire for his girlfriend, who was wise enough not to come to the temple in the morning. And so he grabs his paper and he starts to crumple it and reads, there's an interview with John Roshi in here. He's been in New York. He had been at St. John the Divine, and there's this interview. Somebody interviewed John Roshi. And the person kept asking Son Roshi these questions. Son Roshi didn't know what he was talking about. The person didn't know what Son Roshi was talking about either. And Son Roshi just said, you go to the bathroom 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and then you go to the sacred place. Even the bathroom becomes it. That's what he was saying, because that was part of his dharma. I don't think the journalists really got what was going on. We thought this strange thing this Japanese guy said. And my friend just fell over laughing. It was so incredibly funny, and all the things he was worried about disappeared and all that. And what he did then was going to a temple. He went up to Tassa, into San Francisco, the Tassa High Temple, up in the mountains. And that was his experience. And so that was his peck. Son Roshi peck when he wasn't even in the room. No. That's his teacher there on the wall. That's barrier, KOAN barrier. So yeah, so I don't know. Peck. I don't know what that pecking sound is. Peck. And there's a really sweet thing in Blue Cliff, but this is another KOAN in the Blue Cliff record. He said the ancient Buddhas had a family style. That's it, isn't it? We have the same family style in the ancient Buddhas in that family. Worst relatives to have. I mean, you should know my uncle by marriage. Chick and mother hen do not know each other. I think that's wrong, actually, because they can hear each other. But good enough. Who is it that breaks in and breaks out together? The chick is ready to come out, and the universe is coming in. And and so and then people start to work with this, and of course you lose the original impulse to the KOAN, and it becomes something else. And anyway, and then Nan Yuan, who was a great teacher, said, in various places they only have the eye of simultaneous breaking in and breaking out. They don't have the function of simultaneous breaking in and breaking out. It's like, sure, Nan Yuan. And a monk came forward and said, what is the function of simultaneous breaking in and breaking out? And Nan Yuan said, an adept does not break in and break out. Breaking in and breaking out are both at once wrong. And the student said, I'm still in doubt about this. So he's just trying to take away everything he's feeling and thinking, right? Oh, so you decide, oh, well, if I can get synchronized in breaking in and breaking out, you say, they're both wrong. And I'm still in doubt about that. What are you in doubt about? He said, whether there's an error. And Nanyuan hit him, and the monk didn't agree with this, and so Nanyuan drove him out. He just left, chased him out with a stick. And then he went to Yun Men's community, the greatest masters of it. And he brought up the conversation. There was a student who said, did Nanyuan's staff break? Did he break his staff over the back? Trying to help you, trying to peck? And the monk had this huge awakening experience just from that. It doesn't have to make sense, does it? Like, there's a railway, this will make sense. It's like that. And so, he returned to see Nanchuan and say, good news, And Nanyuan and say, good news, but Nanyuan had already died. He saw Feng Shui, another great teacher in our tradition. Instead, as soon as he bowed, Feng Shui asked, aren't you the person who was asking our late teacher about simultaneous breaking in and breaking out? And he said, that's right. And Feng Shui said, what was your understanding at that time? He said, it was as if I were walking with a dim lamplight. It was a light, but it was dim lamp. And Feng Shui said, you understand. So he understands now. Everything's changed. And then everybody was puzzled. Well, why does our teacher think he understands now? It's like sometimes you can see, that you've broken out. You can see. My friend in Long Island couldn't stop laughing. He could laugh. And he said, wow, I've got the magic thing here. I just take this save this piece of newspaper, go out and tell my girlfriend, who's so great, she's in bed. I'll go out and show it to her, and she'll have the same experience. And so he went up and said, I'm home. And she said, oh, nice to see you. And he said, I've got something for you to read. And she read it and said, yeah. And said, oh, it doesn't work the same on everybody. It's like, all I have to do is give that kind no to you immediately all of it. So so breaking in and breaking out are always happening. And you're in a kind of family of that. The tradition, the family style. And you can tell that under listening to teachers give talks, which is kind of interesting. And somebody said, if you try to change one thing in your life, you don't have your life. Nothing in your life doesn't have. So that'd be part of our family style. That's understanding. You don't have to eradicate anything. And if you did, of course, you wouldn't be here. But it's pretty hard to change the past anyway. But let us know if you succeed. And but there's that nice thing of there wasn't a mistake. There wasn't an error. The universe is not there. So it's good to know that, eh? And so we can have joy of our practice. And there's endless refinement and deepening. And so we're in it now. So we've got this like the guy in the garden sweeping and sweeping and sweeping. And we're sitting together and sitting through and examining the old saying. Whatever we're thinking about it doesn't really matter. We're just here. Doing our koans, and you can tell there's a kind of deepening. It's nice. And if you torment yourself, just trust that. That was not my special power. But if your mind is so busy it bites you, I don't know. Why do you bite yourself? Don't bite yourself. So there you go. It's a bit like saying stop thinking. Now I'm tormenting myself because can't stop thinking. But just comes to rest. Like right now, let's everybody look in your heart right now. Feel what it's like to be healing with these good demons and bodhisattvas, with the whole collection. Just look inside and you can feel that, the radiance. Shui Feng, who's in this whole village, said, it comes out of your own, his teeth is the heel way comes in. His friend said, it comes out of your own breast and covers heaven and earth. You can feel it in your breast, but you can feel your heart is here, is fully here, and so that's called showing up for that. And you can feel other people. If somebody walks in the Dachshund room, I can feel it. People start explaining and say, would you stop explaining yourself so I can feel you? It's like that. I usually patiently listen, but not always. And and it's all right, but you're okay already. It's like the youngest person who goes there. You're really in good shape. And the practices are good. I like to practice. I love the session so much. And I love that a bunch of us here feel the same way, and we've been doing it together for a long time. So it's like to honor the universe, become one with it, to honor it. The stars are in your hands, in your heart. And that wall just keeps like inconceivably opening. So, thank you very much.